How you doing? My name's Jerrod Jones. I'm with Full Size Invasion. I'm with Chris with Apex Chassis. We're gonna do an install on a Superduty. We're putting their entire steering kit on this thing. Now this is a nice kit. Chris, tell us about this kit. You obviously know more about this than I do. So.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, this is our Ford Superduty kit. Tie rod, drag link. We've also got ball joints here. We got a track bar ball joint, which we'll see if we can get to today as well. So we kind of moved away from OE style construction, which is, pinch clamps. We're direct thread into the connecting rods, jam nuts hold everything together. And we've got our proprietary Ninja washers that hold the jam nuts in place.
One of the things I love about this kit, Chris, is how huge this tie rod is. Let's take this thing. How big is this?
That's 2 1/8.
2 1/8. So
yeah.
Just for a quick example, I mean, there's no comparison.
Some of the cool design features we built into these, on the pitman arm end of the drag link, there's a taper that the steering stabilizer goes into just like this. So often it's mounted like this, but if you have a drop pitman arm, this has to get flipped upside down. So then the taper sleeve was the wrong way on these. So on this, we've installed the taper sleeve that's reversible for a drop pitman arm or standard pitman arm. So SA 1045 solid steel forged housings on all of our tie rod ends. Chromoly ball stud with an induction heat treatment, which is very specific. We use castle nuts on all of our products instead of nylocks. What we find with nylocks is with power tools, they go on too fast, burns out the nylock, and they don't hold the torque.
Chris, one of the things I really like about your kit is these Ninja washers. So show us how these work real quick. Like this basically goes on.
Exactly like that. The square tabs are gonna get tapped. Once you do your alignment, dead easy, left and a right hand thread on each side. So just rotating the connecting rod, toe in or out. Once you have your alignment done, torque that jam nut to about 200 foot-pounds. And then with the Ninja washer, the square tabs bend over this way, pointed tabs go over the jam nut, and it locks that jam nut in place. So that's always been a problem with jam nuts, is with vibration, they can loosen off, but that jam nut will hold it in place.
I noticed this little indent in the line on the shaft.
Yeah,
Now,
good
tell me
eye,
about that.
good eye. A lot of people think it's a manufacturing defect. It's not. It's called a minimum engagement mark. So for lifted trucks, you're gonna have to extend that out a little bit. If you do see the minimum engagement line, it means you're past the safe engagement of the connecting rod.
Okay, good to know.
One of the things we love doing is working with installers and getting feedback on our product. One thing that a lot of installers have mentioned would be that sometimes these are difficult. When you're torquing the jam nut, this can rotate a little bit and it's hard to hold it in place. So our newer Ninja washers come like this, so they're pre-bent. So the square tabs are designed to go over the end of the connecting rod and it holds in place while you're torquing the jam nut.
These are especially useful. I know Ford doesn't have such an issue, but the Dodge, I just got another recall letter. Mine was done long ago, but on the drag link, they'll take it, and right here is the adjuster, and they will take that thing, and the service bulletin is to weld those nuts together because they're loosening it up. And
Correct.
So this is a factory, this is the way they say it to fix it. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a dealer recall, and they're welding it.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
So yeah, we heard about that problem. And that was one of the reasons we came up with the Ninja washer, was to solve that issue with the Dodge Rams.
Chris, on my first Super, not this one, but same generation, about 30,000 miles in, I had a track bar ball joint actually pop out. The whole ball popped out of the cup. So the cup was still in the axle, but the ball was attached to track bar, and the axle was about a foot over, and I had to get towed home. So, I mean, serious problem. These things are wearing out quickly too. So I know you guys came up with a solution. You don't have to just put in same old factory Ford.
Right.
So what's this?
Yeah, this is our track bar ball joint. And that's one of the major things that we test when we're testing our product, is the pull-out strength. So we have machines, they'll pull on that nut until we actually, to destruction, and we know the force that it takes to pull that ball stud out of the housing. So to improve that, it's the SA 1045 forged housing. We try and keep things really simple. The thing that makes these last longest is the size of the ball stud. So if we can oversize that ball stud by a couple mils, that's a lot. And over the course of the operation of the vehicle, it's just going to last a lot longer. Another thing you'll see on all of our parts are accordion boots. So this is CR rubber. It's the best type of rubber you can use for this application. We have retaining rings that hold it down here and on the top to keep that ball stud sealed, which is another thing that's going to add to the longevity of the part. And you can see as this moves back and forth, it never opens up around here, so it's always keeping that ball stud sealed.
Now I noticed real quick, before I came, I did a quick price check, and you're about the same price as a Ford factory ball joint, which
Correct.
is nice. So you're not looking at a bunch of money to get a better quality product.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we're $62 on that guy right there, which would be equal to a Moog, but much better quality. One last product we have here today for the Ford Super Duties are ball joints. So same as all of our other products, SA 1045 housings, chromoly ball stud, induction heat treatment, sealed ball joints. Everything that we make also is greasable.
Chris, I gotta ask, there's a lot of quality aftermarket ball joints out there. They're almost 3 times, at least double the cost of your ball joints. How are you getting away with doing this so much cheaper than?
Good question. A lot of it just boils down to making a very simple ball joint. So we don't really subscribe to rebuildable or adjustable. It just gets technical, and it's something that a lot of vehicle owners don't want to deal with. So for us, the thing that makes this last the longest is just oversizing that ball stud, the metallurgy, and the heat treatments.
Now, do you have like a knurled version and a non-knurled version? I know like sometimes these things get walled out.
It's true. For the Ford Super Duties right now, we're just knurled. We do have non-knurled versions for our Dodge Rams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We just find that there's more memory steer issues with the Rams, and by creating a non-knurled version for a knuckle that's less worn out, it reduces some of the memory steer.
Well, thanks very much, Chris, for coming and showing us the Super Duty kit. Pretty nice kit, new ball joints, pretty nice. So I can't wait to get this thing in too, and maybe have fewer problems. So I think I'm already on my 3rd factory ball joint, so track bar ball joint. So this is gonna be a nice addition.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get this installed and see what you think, Jerrod.
Yeah,
let's get going. Yeah. So first thing we do here is take a measurement of the OE install. And we'll jot that down on a piece of paper so we can preset the length of our connecting rod before we install it. That should get the toe pretty close to right.
Yeah, we'll see how close we get. 16 3/4. So remember that, because I'm gonna forget that.
I'm gonna write it
more
down
times and still forget it. So what's that one?
43 and a quarter. 43 and a half. Sorry.
43 and a half.
Hey guys, so we're just applying some anti-seize to the inside of the connecting rod here. One of the things we talk about in our install instructions is instead of applying the anti-seize here to the tie rod end, we apply it inside the tube. That way we don't have anti-seize under where the jam nut is going to reside, because of course putting anti-seize under jam nut kind of defeats the purpose of the jam nut. Okay, so we've got this fully threaded together. We thread it all the way in to start with, and our preset measurement is at 60 3/4. So I usually just hold it like this and just back it off evenly, and then we'll get to our 60 3/4 measurement. And we're pretty close there. One end.
100,000 miles that hasn't been pulled.
Okay, so we've got the OE steering off of the Ford now, laying on the ground next to the Apex steering. So here's where we can really see some of the differences when we line them up side by side. On the tie rod ends here, you can see that we've oversized this compared to the OE. That allows us to put about a 3 millimeter larger ball stud in there, much more low disbursement and longer life. Hard to tell, but this tie rod end is 1/8 of an inch larger in diameter than the OE, so you got a little bit more strength here. Downside to that is if you are installing a dual steering stabilizer, you just have to oversize the U-bolts to attach to the tie rod ends. Much beefier connecting rod. This makes the steering much stiffer than the thinner walled OE connecting rod. Same on the other side. You can see from the housings, we're about 3 millimeters bigger on the housings where the ball stud is. Again, more low disbursement, longer life.
Chris, on some suspensions like mine, it's a lifted truck, it's getting more suspension movement, more articulation side to side. These tie rod ends, sometimes these are a little limited in the movement. Do you guys have more? How much more angularity can you get out of yours?
Absolutely. We have about 3 degrees more articulation in the ball stud, which is a lot in the industry. So that the big thing that causes ball stud damage or tie rod end damage is when the ball stud cams out, it stops moving, and then it acts as a lever within there, and it can start to blow apart the housing. So if we can give you 3 degrees more stud swing, you can see it there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's a huge amount, and it's going to add to the longevity of that tie rod end.
We just pulled off the old factory steering linkage. We have now got all the new Apex Chassis steering linkage. The tie rod and the drag link are now assembled. We're going to try and pop these on, just do a loose fitment, get everything lined up, get everything measured, make sure we are as close as possible before we go to the alignment shop.
We've got a good loose fit here, everything's installed, looks good. Next steps are we're gonna go around, we're gonna torque everything down. So we're gonna follow the install instructions, get the correct torque on the drag link ends and the tie rod ends. Then we're gonna look at the alignment, just do a basic alignment here before it goes to the alignment shop. And then after that, we're gonna have to torque these jam nuts down. The torque on these jam nuts is absolutely critical to the longevity of the whole system. So those are do-it-yourselfers at home. Please make sure you follow the install instructions and get the correct torques on these jam nuts.
Now, Chris, let me ask you about that, because most guys, including myself, usually just take a big crescent wrench, stick it on, and tighten about as much as we can and call it good. So how are we going to torque this properly?
Great question, Jared. So we do offer, through Diesel Power Products, our jam nut wrenches, which are specifically designed for the size of our jam nuts and the wrench flats on the connecting rod. Those connect to a crow's foot, and you can have your torque specs on the crow's foot.
All right, I think this is all on there correctly. Let's get all the rest of this tightened up, and we'll get off to the alignment shop, see how it goes.
Excellent.
Chris, I know some of the times these jam nuts, we're gonna torque these down a lot, but just in case they don't back out, you guys have created this new ninja washer. Tell me how this works.
Correct. So with vibration, these can eventually back off even if they're torqued up to over 200 foot-pounds. So we've got the square tabs that go over the connecting rod this way. And these square tabs, you never need to undo them. So if you need to get an alignment done, just leave them bent down. If you do need to get an alignment, you can pry up the pointed tabs. You usually get 3 or 4 uses out of these. But you can also just tab every second one down, and then you'll have a spare one up. So you get more uses out of them that way. So square tabs over the connecting rod, pointed tabs over the jam nut, and that locks it down.
All right, this looks pretty well set, man. I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks very much for coming out and doing this with us today.
Thanks, It's been great to finally meet you.
Yeah,
I know we've talked a lot. And thanks to Diesel Power Products for inviting us up here to their shop to do the install today. Great group here. They have all of our products listed online. You can follow us at apexchassis.com. Make sure you follow Jerrod at Full Size Invasion, and we'll see you on the trails.
Yeah, can't wait to take this on a good 800-mile drive to Moab here coming up right soon. So
Excellent.
Should be fun.